Right, it's finished 3-3, Man City versus Spurs. Absolutely embarrassing in terms of the refereeing performance right at the end of the game. I think it's Hooper. What is happening? Lads, come on. He plays advantage for Grealish. He's through on goal. Vicario's way off his line. And Hooper doesn't let the advantage go. He brings it back and he bottles his own decision to allow Jack Grealish to play advantage after Erling Haaland was brought down. Absolute travesty, absolute disgrace. The game itself was obviously massively entertaining. 3-3, what can I say? Spurs showed a lot of resilience, a lot of fight to stop it being 4 losses on the bounce. City showed a lack of control, a lack of poise in the big moments in the game to keep it 3-2, to keep it 2-1, whatever you want to say. City in the last 5 years would have kept that 2-1, 3-2. But with Spurs, there's always this weird thing anyway. But in this game, in this season for City, there's been a lack of real control, and it is a little bit frustrating. I can't lie. As a City fan, I can't expect City to win every single game all the time. But in these big top 6 crunch games, we're talking, Arsenal at the Emirates. We're talking Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. We're talking Spurs now. We're talking Liverpool. Big winning positions haven't been held on to, especially that Liverpool game. Such a frustrating draw. The one benefit is Chelsea draw, Spurs draw, Liverpool draw. They can all be turned into wins. Now losses shows a lot. A loss is awful in those games. There aren't many losses. The one against Arsenal, frustrating. Let's talk about the goals. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Son scores very, very early, 9 minutes in. It was a bit of a deflected effort. Some really poor defending from Doku, gets caught out, and obviously Ederson doesn't quite do enough to make the save. He almost makes an Onana save against Galatasaray kind of level. And then obviously Heung-min Son scores an own goal as well as the ball gets whipped in to make it 1-1. And in the first 10 minutes, you're getting one of these kind of games, absolutely classic encounter. Another 3-3. City are handing out these kind of classic performances week in, week out, and these kind of games that you're going to find on Premier League years in about 15 years' time. That's no good for what Guardiola wants. I mean, Guardiola's instilled this thing in City fans, in City players. He's instilled a level of control, and that isn't being shown. That is not being shown. There's a chaotic element to it. Doku and Alvarez, Haaland, all running past each other, and there's a lack of control in midfield. I thought Kovacic would be the answer to that. He's always injured. He came on for 5 minutes in this game. Phil Foden makes it 2-1. Great little ball in to his feet from, might be Doku. Doku initiates the attack anyway, and it's a beautiful little ball into Phil Foden. Great finish, had a great goal against Leipzig as well. He's in underrated form. He's in very, very good little space at the moment. So, good little form for Phil Foden. It was a lovely, cute finish. Then Giovanni Lo Celso in the second half. I mean, there was a lack of control from City. There really was. To give him that much space, to curl it on his left foot, to turn him into prime Gareth Bale. Lo Celso, I don't think he's done particularly well since James Maddison come in. I'm not saying he's the same caliber, but Lo Celso is one of those players that doesn't quite live up to the expectations since his signing. I think that's fair to say. But City have kind of made him have this moment. I'm a little bit out of focus there. Yeah, beautiful. Jack Grealish makes it 3-2. It's a beautiful little finish. Ball gets whipped across from Erling Haaland. Beautiful little right-footed cross from him. Absolutely superb. And it should be the game over. It should be finito. And a bit like how Liverpool kind of are able to manage moments in the game, and Arsenal are able to do it, definitely. City have showed a lack of control in these big games, these big moments, and it's really, really frustrating. No question about it. Because Dejan Kulusevski, I've lost my voice shouting at Simon Hooper. Kulusevski bends one in with his head. He kind of shoulders one in, top left, bins. Poor defender from Nathan Ake. There was some poor defending from Ruben Diaz all game. And whereas the keeper, it was a little bit he was a little bit in no man's land. I think sometimes you want Ederson coming out to collect that, I think, as well. So I think actually Ederson has been culpable for all 3 goals in terms of at least his standard not quite being high enough for what you'd want, in my opinion. A little bit frustrating. So they made it 3-3. The big moment why I've lost my voice, why I've lost my nut, Erling Haaland gets brought down. Is it by Højbjerg? I'm not sure. Simon Hooper initially plays advantage. Then he bottles the decision because he can't, I don't know if he can't understand what's happening. I don't know if he thinks that he's worried that VAR is going to bring it back anyway, so he can't let the game flow. But it's criminal. It's outrageous that that decision wasn't given City's way, and it is symptomatic of how City are performing in these big games in terms of the referees as well, because the referees are adding misery to a lot of football sides up and down the country, especially in the Premier League. It was just another moment where you just think the flow of the game is not being understood by the referee. The flow of the game is not being trusted. The referee is worried about VAR intervening, bringing things back. I think he might have been worried about an offside call as well. I think Grealish might have been onside. Let me know in the comments down below if he was or not. But either way, super frustrating. A 3-3 draw. There's what you see on the pitch and then what you actually see on the league table, because it's all about the league table. You could win 38 games in a row, look ugly, and still win the Premier League. It's not about the aesthetic quality. City's aesthetic quality, look, the final third I think is fantastic. I think the energy's great, free-flowing football. City fans are desperate to see it almost in terms of how controlled we've been in the past. But everything else, the midfield is poor. I think the defence is being stretched unnaturally so because of this kind of the midfield being so porous. At points, it's just Rodri. At points, it's just Bernardo Silva running around by himself. It's never going to be enough. You could be the best. You could be prime Gattuso. You could be prime Gilberto Silva. It doesn't matter, all these defensive midfielders. Kante even. You still need protection around these players. Rodri needs protection around him. You had Ilkay Gundogan on one side. You had De Bruyne on the other. We saw Fernandinho with David Silva, De Bruyne tucked in tight. This midfield for City is not cutting the mustard at the moment, and I think it's going to be a midfield that ultimately does not win the Premier League unless it changes massively. Bring in Kovacic. Nunes hasn't hit the ground running, isn't trusted in these big games either. And if City aren't able to pick up form, then this will be a season which City don't win the Premier League title. That is just the reality. I think I have a strong belief that in the back end of the season, City will pick up wins against the likes of Spurs, wins against the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal. But at the moment, there haven't been any, so I can't attest to us being able to beat these sides. All I can look at is the Premier League table, despite what I've just said, where we're only 3 points off Arsenal. A Premier League table that will look a lot different when Kevin De Bruyne is back in the side, when Ruben Diaz is back to full fitness and full form even. And the likes of Gvardiol, Doku have settled in even further. So that's all I can say about the situation. A little bit frustrating, I cannot lie. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Would really appreciate that. But it's City free, Spurs free, and it opens up the Premier League title race for so many other sides.